And we're going to go through some of this material and see what we can come up with. So we're continuing here. We're on page 187 of 212 in this book. I've done several videos. You can find those videos at the YouTube channel. And see if I can bring that up here for you all. Let's see here. Let's see, we'll get rid of this here. Okay. Okay, so we'll go here. Welcome, Vicky. Welcome. Okay, so
Hi, Professor.
good to see you here.
Good to see you too. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, praise Yah. Basically, I'm showing people how to get to the YouTube channel. This is hmisrael.com. And there it is, hmisrael.com. And that'll get you to this there, and then hit the YouTube. And for those people who have not been able to catch up on our earlier studies, we've got it right here. This is the entire Lilith series. So this will give people an idea of where they can go to continue this study. So tonight we're going to continue and talk about the Zohar on Canaan and Na'amah. And so we're going to read through this material and discuss as we go. So the Zohar on Canaan and Na'amah. The Zohar corroborates the notion that Canaan was the source of the post-flood Nephilim defilement, and that this defilement was of the lineage of the serpent Lilith. The Zohar also corroborates the notion that the mother of Canaan was Na'amah. It teaches that Na'amah survived across the flood and that she is the mother of demons in the post-flood era. Interesting. It could be that when it says the mother of demons, it could be meaning to say that if these individuals that were birthed by her, Canaan and others, were of such a corrupted genetic state that when they passed on, they were not following Almighty Yah, obviously, and they became like demons. That could be what they're talking about there. But also remember that it's the Zohar. This is Jewish mysticism. So we're not putting a lot of stock in it other than to see correlations with the other material. So the most important passages in the Zohar on Canaan's line comes in Noah passage 298. The passage states that Canaan is also the arousal of the ancient serpent spirit of impurity. This links Canaan's lineage and thus Na'amah to Lilith. Interesting. So this is in the Zohar, Noah passage 298, and it says, and Ham is the father of Canaan. Canaan is the filth under the refuse of the gold. He is also the arousal of the ancient spirits of impurity. Ham is the left column, which is the secret of gold, and Canaan, who represents the ancient serpent, is his refuse. This is why the verse specifically reads, and Ham is the father of Canaan. The same Canaan who brought curses on the world, the same Canaan who was himself cursed, and who darkened the faces of the creatures. Interesting, darkened the faces of the creatures. That's an interesting phrase there. In other words, he is a serpent who seduced Hava and brought curses on the world, and who was cursed himself and darkened the faces of the creatures by bringing death upon them. So I think this is talking about Lilith here. Okay, so the Zohar also claims something quite profound about Na'amah. It states that she was the mother of demons in the post-flood world. This implies that her progeny bore the defiled Nephilim lineage. The passages in the Zohar relating these notions are in Bereshit. This is Genesis verses, looks like Bereshit B. Oh, this must be in the Zohar, 353-56. Verses 353, Rabbi Shimon explains that Na'amah is listed in Cain's genealogy because she seduced men. In verse 354, he explains further that she was the mother of demons. Demons are the disembodied spirits of Nephilim. According to Enoch and other sources, when a Nephilim died, its spirit still roamed the earth as a disembodied spirit or demon. Therefore, for Na'amah to bear demon spirit, she had to have borne Nephilim seed. In other words, she did bear. These were genetic abominations. They were, they were the giants. This is how the giants came in. So they're basically assuming that the giants have a familiar, a mother that birthed them throughout the generations, and that mother was Naamah. Okay, therefore, for Naamah to bear demon spirit, she had to have born Nephilim seed. In verse 354, Rabbi Shimon makes it quite clear that the reason that Naamah exists in the world today is because in her day she seduced men and bore spirits into the world. Okay, in verse 355, he explains that it is her spirit or bloodline of her lineage that survives today because she, like the Nephilim she bore, died. In verse 356, Shimon concludes with a bit of a riddle. He scolds mankind who was ignorant and blind. He says they do not know how full the world is with strange creatures and invisible and things. Interesting. How blind the world is. I would say especially today, the world today does not recognize the reality of the spiritual world. They have replaced it with science, and they've removed all physical proof of, like, giant bones and things. These particular government organizations have removed them from the public view. Okay, so the invisible things are the disembodied demon spirits of the Nephilim not yet bound in hell. The strange creatures are men who are not fully men. These are men who are defiled by the Nephilim lineage of Lilith and who are descended from Naamah. Okay, so this is this is in Bereshit, passage 353 through 57. Rabbi Akiva quotes, and the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. Why do the scriptures mention her name, Naamah, meaning tender? Rabbi Shimon replied, it is because people were seduced by her and spirits and demons. Rabbi Yitzhak said that the sons of Elohim, Asa, and Azazel were seduced by her. Okay. Rabbi Shimon said that she was the mother of demons, being of the side of Cain. This would be like Cain. And that along with Lilith, she is responsible for the epileptic death of babies. Interesting. Rabbi Abba said to him, but sir, she, Naamah, was charged only with seducing men. Rabbi Shimon explained, this is precisely correct because she seduced men and bore spirits into the world. She still persists in her seductive work in the world. Now, it's interesting, that Judaism even teaches that even when a man, relieves himself outside of sexual contact with his wife, this produces a spirit. That's interesting there. And so the more conservative of the Orthodox Jews, they would say that even masturbation is a sin because of that. So this goes on here to 355. Rabbi Abba asked him, but since those demons die like human beings, how can you say that she, Naamah, has survived to this day? He said to him that this is true, yet Lilith and Naamah and Iglaret, the mother of Makalat, who originated from their side, will continue to live until the Holy One, blessed be he, burns the spirit of uncleanness from the earth. This is as it is written, I will cause the unclean spirits to pierce out of the land. Look at that. Zechariah 13:2. Let's take a look at that. Zechariah 13:2. Let's see if I can find that somewhere. I'll get rid of this here. Okay. All right. Zechariah 13:2. All right. We should be able to see that. Let's go to 13:2. Take a look at this here. All right. In that day, there shall be a foundation opened to the house of David, to the inhabitants of Jerusalem for sin and for uncleanness. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Yahweh of hosts, that it will cut off the names of the idols out of the land, and they shall no more be remembered. And also I will cause the prophets of unclean spirit to pass out of the land. Look at that. I didn't even think of it that way when I read that before. But he says he's going to remove the unclean spirits to pass out of the land. Now, it says in Jubilees that Satan petitioned the throne of Almighty Yah and said, look, you got to leave me a few of these demons so that they can punish mankind who departs from keeping your Torah. So the Almighty gives him a certain portion, a very small portion. The rest of them are where? They're down in hell. So apparently, even these remnant that were allotted unto Satan to torment mankind when they break his law, will be passed out of the land. They will be removed. They will be put down in hell. Well, that kind of makes sense because we read in Revelation that the devil and his angels are cast into hell, right? That's what it says. They're cast into hell. When Yeshua comes back and he inaugurates his millennial reign, it says the devil and his angels are cast into hell, and they will no more trouble mankind. Okay, so let's see here. Where do we? Okay, we're right here. So Rabbi Shimon said, "Woe to the sons of men, for they are not aware and do not take heed nor search for knowledge. They were all blindfolded and do not know how full the world is, with strange and invisible creatures and things." That's true. If permission were to be given to the eye to see, people would greatly wonder as how it is possible to survive in this world. And I said that earlier. I have made that postulation that perhaps if the veil was taken off of our eyes, if we could see into the spiritual and see the filthiness that's around us, the demons that are polluting the world, it might even drive us mad. And this is interesting that this rabbi would say this. Come and behold, this Na'amah is the mother of demons. For her side originate all these demons who sexually arouse men, absorb the spirit of lust from them, seduce them, and eventually cause them to release semen in vain. And thus this wastage of semen comes from the side of the spirit of defilement. One has to wash and purify himself. Well, this is mentioned in the Torah, right? If a man has a emission in the middle of the night or so on, then he has to wash himself and make himself ritually clean. This the friends have already explained. Okay, so note that the passage from the Zophar never state that Nahama was a demon or defiled with a Nephilim lineage. It merely states that she was the mother of demons. This could allow her to be of the pure lineage of Adam, in which case her defiled seed resulted from her seductions of watchers or Nephilim. And that's an interesting idea. Verse 353 supports this notion. It states that Nahama seduced the fallen watchers, Azza and Azael, and bore seed with them. So it wasn't just Noah that she was, according to this, it wasn't just Noah that she decided to trick while he was drunk out of his mind, but she was fooling around with these watchers. In this case, Naamai may have become pregnant by such seductions before the flood and carried the seed of this union, Canaan, aboard the ark. Interesting. So they're saying here it's possible that she could have been. They're saying that it wasn't Noah. They're postulating that was fallen angels before the flood. Wow. A lot of different viewpoints here. In this case, Canaan would not be the true seed of either Noah or Ham, but rather of a pre-flood watcher or Nephilim, okay? A counterpoint to the notion that Naamah herself was free from the defilement came in verse 354, which states that Naamah exists in the world today because she seduced men and bore spirits into the world. The only way she could bear demon spirits of the world by seducing men, Noah and Ham, would be if she herself carried the Nephilim defilement. Well, I've always assumed that the teaching was that simply in her genetic code she carried the Nephilim defilement. So that's something to think about there. And then of course, when she broke her wedlock with Ham, and seduced Noah while he was drunk. That's a familiar theme we see throughout the scriptures, because we see Lot and his daughters doing the same thing. That is unless the verse is to be understood more obtusely as saying that she used her power of seduction upon men, Noah and Ham, to hide her pregnancy or manipulate her way into the ark. Interesting. Okay, so now here is, this is in the Talmud, Rashi, on Canaan and Naamah. Rashi has three intriguing teachings that strangely parallel the main conclusion of this book. First, he teaches that demonic spirits entered the ark with Noah and his family. Interesting. Second, he teaches that Naamah was aboard the ark, although he holds she was the wife of Noah. Oh, you pay. These rabbis couldn't agree about anything, could they? Finally, Rashi teaches that the event of Noah's drunkenness involved Noah having sexual relations with Naamah. Rashi teaches that demons entered the ark based on Genesis 6:13, which states that every living thing entered the ark with Noah and his family. Rashi's teachings is consistent with the Nephilim defilement entering the ark, as Nephilim spirits are demons. Rashi's teaching on the passage is confirmed by mystical evidence in Genesis 7:14. That passage states that when Noah and his family entered the ark, they entered the ark. The PFA, the principle of first association, of which they denotes people possessing the flood lineage of the Nephilim, the Gibborim. Okay. So I'm not sure what he's saying here. Is he saying that they were disembodied demons, or was he saying that in the physical body of Naamah, they entered onto the ark? Is that what he's saying? Possibly. Thus, the mystical meaning of Genesis 7:14 implies that when Noah and his family, they entered the ark, the lessened post-flood lineage of the Nephilim, the Gibborim, also entered. So that would be inculcated within Naamah. Rashi teaches that Naamah was aboard the ark. However, he holds she was the wife of Noah. I think that's insane. I don't think that's right, but perhaps Rashi's identification of Naamah as Noah's wife arises from his assumption that Noah's sexual partner during his drunkenness must be his wife. I think he's wrong about that. I think Noah had, because it says 8 souls saved alive on the ark, it does say Noah had a wife. So, I think that Naamah, if I were to say which theory to go through with, I would probably land closer on the idea that Naamah, after the flood, seduced Noah when she seen that Noah was overcome by wine and was drunk and could not think straight in his head. Alternatively, because Rashi is mystically teaching that she became Noah's de facto second wife when he had sexual relations with a virgin would-be bride of Ham. Okay, well, then he assumes would-be bride of Ham. So Rashi is saying that she wasn't already married to Ham, but I think the Bible says that their wives, his sons and their wives got on board. So I'm not sure about that. Rashi seems to be a little off on this, I think, in my opinion. Rashi teaches that when Ham saw Noah's nakedness, he witnessed Noah having sexual relations with Naamah. Rashi states that when Ham left the tent of Noah's nakedness, he complained to his 2 brothers outside. Adam, the first man, had only 2 sons, yet one killed the other because of the inheritance of the world. And our father has 3 sons, yet he seeks still a 4th. This implies that Ham saw his father attempting to sire a 4th son, and this made him angry. Rashi's identification of Naamah as Noah's wife leaves an unsatisfactory explanation for Ham's anger. Why would he be so angry at his father and mother attempting to sire more children? See, this is why I think Rashi is off the beam too. What does Enoch say about that? Well, Vicky, the Book of Enoch does not expand in great detail on this subject. So really, what we're getting as far as what happened with Noah is the 3 books that we might get some information from would be Jasher, Genesis, and Jubilees, but not Enoch, to my recollection anyway. However, my identification for Naamah as Ham's bride or wife easily explains his anger. Ham saw Noah committing adultery with Ham's wife. I think the author is correct about this. Ham saw Noah committing adultery with Ham's wife, and that's why he was so upset. That's why he went to gather his 2 brothers and explain, and say to them, hey, come look, what's going on here, All right, so let's go into this now. We're shifting now to Canaan as the center of post-flood defilement. A remarkable feature of the post-flood Nephilim defilement is that it was highly concentrated in the firstborn of Naamah, Canaan. 2 witnesses. All the post-flood Nephilim tribes listed in the Bible lived in the lands of Canaan's descendants. This suggests that the Canaanites and the post-flood Nephilim were related. This kindred link can be seen in the reports of Israel's spies. All right, in Numbers 13:22, the Israelite spies call all of Canaan's descendants in the land men of great stature. That means they were giants, probably. And even those not of the Nephilim lineage of Anak and called giants. Okay, so maybe they were others of great stature, but they weren't quite giants. This implies the Canaanites and their Nephilim compatriots bore a common defiled lineage or heritage. The Nephilim and their Canaanite compatriots bore a uniquely corrupt lineage that caused Yah to call for their complete destruction. I think that's what that. There's a little bit of a mistake there on that. Okay. Upon Israel's entering the land, Yahweh commanded Israel to execute a holy war against all Canaanite tribes to utterly exterminate them. None was to survive, not even the women or children. This was the only holy war to which Yahweh ever commanded Israel. Its sole purpose was for purging the Canaanite defilement from the promised land. This notion of Canaanite defilement is also seen elsewhere in the Bible. In Genesis 27:46, Rebekah warns that her son Jacob would not take a wife of the daughters of Heth, the firstborn of Canaan, or her life shall be lost. Indeed, no wife was ever taken from the Canaanites into Israel's lineage, even when unsavory lineages such as Moabites were. Instead of Canaanite wives, wives from outside the land were found for Isaac and Jacob. Now that adds a new dimension to this, doesn't it? Because it suggests that the Canaanite lineage was polluted, even at the genetic level, and it could be why Yahweh wanted them to completely destroy the Canaanites when they came into the land. Interesting. The only Gibborim not directly linked to Canaan's descendants was Nimrod. Nimrod was the son of Cush, son of Ham. So Nimrod was still of the lineage of Naamah and Ham. One possible reason for Nimrod's exceptionalism may be he did not share the same mother as the rest of Cush's son. This can be seen in Genesis 10:7-8. There, Cush's generations are recorded in two lists. Nimrod is in the second list, while Cush's other sons are listed in the first. Many have suggested that it's because Nimrod enjoyed a different mother from the rest of his brothers. It is possible that his mother might have been a daughter of Canaan or even Nahamath herself. So after rigorous study, I found three possible explanations for the concentration of post-flood Nephilim defilement in Canaan. They are stated below in order of descending plausibility. I find the first the most plausible and consistent with the evidence. Okay, Noah had adulterous relations with Ham's wife Naamah after the flood and sired Canaan with her. The concentration of post-flood defilement in Canaan can be explained in that Noah's strong angelic spirit made Canaan more potent than Naamah's other seed born to Ham. That's interesting, because it's almost like Moses. Remember Moses? Well, think of like Elijah and Elisha. Now, Elisha was given a double portion of Elijah's spirit. So it's almost like the person that's more kadosh and holy has a stronger anointing, a stronger spirit. And that's kind of the implication there, I think. Okay, and then he also sees here that Canaan was Naamah's firstborn. Noah's curse on Canaan amplified his son's Nephilim defilement. Noah's sin of adultery and siring Canaan amplified his son's Nephilim defilement. It is possible that Ham and Noah set aside Naamah after the event. Interesting that maybe Ham basically kicked Naamah out because she was an adulteress. She thereby birthed no more seed except possibly Nimrod. Okay. It is also possible that Noah sired Canaan from additional sexual relations with Naamah during the flood aboard the ark. Also recall that certain aspects of Saint Hippolytus' legend suggest that Naamah may have been impregnated by Noah before the flood. These actions could have increased Canaan's defilement. I tell you, these kind of theories, they kind of denigrate Noah in some way because, the church has always taught that Noah was rather pristine, other than that mistake with getting drunk. Noah had adulterous relations with Naamah after the flood and thereby discovered the Nephilim harlot she was. However, Ham was the father of Canaan. This theory suffers because Genesis strongly indicates that Noah fathered Canaan. The theory also has fewer explanations for Canaan's post-flood prominence of defilement. The concentration of defilement in Canaan could be explained by A, Canaan was Naamah and Ham's firstborn. B, Noah's curse amplified Canaan's Nephilim defilement. C, it is possible that Ham and Noah set aside Naamah after the event. She thereby birthed no more seed except possibly Nimrod. Number D, it is possible that Ham sired Canaan with Naamah during the flood aboard the ark. Some Talmudists hold that Ham had intercourse with his wife aboard in the ark and that he was punished afterwards and that his descendants, the Ethiopians, were black. Boy, it seems like these Talmudists really didn't like black people very well. It seemed like they were always associating black with a punishment of some sort. This line of reasoning can be extended to say Ham sired Canaan aboard the ark. This act could have increased Canaan's defilement. Noah had adulterous relations with Naamah after the flood and thereby discovered the Nephilim harlot she was. However, neither Noah nor Ham sired Canaan. Naamah entered the ark pregnant with adulterous Nephilim seeds sired by watchers or other Nephilim. So these are theories explaining how it is that Naamah became polluted. She covered up her pregnancy by seducing Ham aboard the ark before she began to show, pretending later that her seed was his. Interesting. It is also conceivable that Naamah first seduced Noah aboard the ark, or even before the flood. She then revealed her pregnancy to Noah aboard the ark and thereby forced him to rescind his command to his sons to refrain from sex aboard the ark, lest Noah's actions become known. This mirrors the case of David with Bathsheba and Uriah. Naamah then went unto Ham also. In either case, Naamah birthed Canaan aboard the ark, and possibly both Noah and Ham were deceived into thinking it was theirs. This theory suffers because Genesis strongly indicates that Noah fathered Canaan and that Naamah was a virgin when Noah got drunk. Now, where does it suggest she was a virgin and had sexual relations with her? However, under this theory, the concentration of defilement in Canaan is easily explained. No other post shared this his defiling father. In this scenario, it is possible that Naamah herself bore no defiled lineage, but was merely impregnated with Nephilim seed. It is also conceivable that the Nephilim seed was Azazel. This theory may be more in line with certain teachings of the Zohar. The Zohar suggests that Naamah seduced watchers and bore seed to them. That's interesting. I've never read the Zohar before. But it sure does seem to suggest that she was dallying with these watchers in various places. I guess my assumption is that she had to receive seed from Noah, of which her own genetic code was polluted. I don't know. Note that all three options hold out the possibility that Ham's wife was pregnant with Canaan aboard the ark. Shalom, Steve. Welcome. However, the likeliness of this being the case is small because Genesis strongly indicates that Noah fathered Canaan during his drunken post-flood escapade, and mystical evidences indicate that Naamah was a virgin at that time. Mystical evidences. I don't know if she was so loose. It seems to me she probably wasn't a virgin, but however, Genesis contains an oddity that supports this notion. In Genesis 9:18, Canaan is mentioned as the son of Ham when Noah's sons disembarked the ark. Washi holds Canaan is mentioned there merely to identify him as the son of Ham in the following episode of Noah's nakedness being uncovered. He holds Canaan's identity needed clarification in the passage because Ham's genealogy was not yet given. However, another interpretation is that Canaan was born or conceived upon the ark. In this case, Canaan truly departed the ark with Noah's other sons, and this is why he is listed in the verse. Interesting. This is Genesis 9:18, and the sons of Noah that went forth the ark was Shem, Ham, Japheth, and Ham is the father of Canaan, where it literally says right out that Ham is the father of Canaan. Okay. One must ask a final question. If Ham's wife was defiled of the Nephilim lineage, could this fact be hidden from Noah and his sons? The answer is yes. It is entirely conceivable that a woman can be defiled and still pass for fully human. All Nephilim recorded in both the Bible and First Enoch are males. This lays out the intriguing possibility that either female Nephilim were not conceived or the females were latent. Interesting, latent and expressing their Nephilim heritage. Wow. Latency means that they bore the defilement, but they looked fully human. And that's something. That's an idea I never came across before. So far, the evidence, okay, so this is Naamah in the lineage of Lilith. So far, the evidence provided that puts Naamah aboard the ark and identifies her as Ham's wife is somewhat tenuous. Her existence aboard the ark is based on rabbinic tradition that attempts to explain why Genesis bothers to include Naamah as the sole mentioned female in Cain's genealogy. However, the rabbinical tradition is not consistent on whose wife she was. Rashi, the Genesis Rabbah, and others believe Naamah was the wife of Noah. Now, he's only, I think Rashi is saying that because Rashi, in the biblical sense, if a man has sex with a woman, she literally, if there was this idea in Judaism that they became married, they became spiritually married. And there is, in a sense, that's true because their spirits merge. But it doesn't necessarily mean marriage. Obviously, the Apostle Paul said a man who joins himself with a harlot becomes one flesh with her. And so this is why he's warning them about becoming one flesh. Okay, so others, including the 17th century Calvinist, the other outside of marriage, rather. Okay, so the theologian John Gill identified Naamah as Ham's wife and believes she was later confused with Noah's wife. Boy, I keep getting these text messages. They're driving me nuts. Turn this off on mute. Get rid of that. Actually, it might be good to just shut this thing down. All right. Okay, the Zohar, although implying Naamah was aboard the ark, does not indicate whose wife she was. However, because the Zohar teaches she is a kindred spirit of Lilith, she certainly could not be the sole wife of Noah, according to its teachings. And what about Noah's wife? Her wife, the real wife. Now, because it says 8 souls were saved alive on the ark. Where was she in all this? Is there any substantial biblical evidence identifying Naamah as the wife of Ham and as the source of post-flood Nephilim defilement? Indeed, there is. There's a strange coincidence in Genesis 4:22 that hence she is associated with Azazel. However, the strongest evidence by far is mystical. This evidence also links her to the serpent Lilith. Through an odd coincidence, Genesis 4:22 tenuously links Naamah to Azazel. This is because both Naamah and her brother Tubal-Cain possess traits taught by Azazel. Interesting. So what are the traits taught by Azazel? Well, they were very much into war. They were into, all of these things in order to oppress other people. Honestly, I don't think weaponry is evil in and of itself. It was the idea of achieving weaponry to take power over other people. Of course, that's my opinion. I know the Mennonites would vehemently disagree with me. I've been into some Mennonite congregations, by the way, and had the discussion with them. Now they still admit they have guns to hunt with, but they don't have anything like AR-15s or anything like that. But remember that Azazel, he was teaching mankind how to make implements of war. This because both Naaman and her brother Tubal-Cain possesses traits taught by Azazel. The passage states that Naaman's brother Tubal-Cain was an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron. Okay, he was therefore an instructor in the arts of war. Azazel was admonished in the first Enoch for teaching man the arts of war. This links Azazel to Tubal-Cain. Likewise, Azazel may be linked to Naaman. Naaman's name means pleasure, and in rabbinic tradition, she is commonly held to be a seductress. First Enoch's second admonishment to Azazel was for teaching women the art of seduction. Therefore, the skill of seduction, which Azazel taught women, is also associated with Naaman. The coincidence of both Naaman and her brother possessing the skills taught by Azazel suggests that Azazel may have been somehow involved with them. One may theorize certain explanations from this association. It is possible that her mother Zillah was a daughter of Azazel, and she thereby defiled both her offspring with Azazel's lineage. It is also conceivable that Azazel was the father of Naaman through adulterous relations with Lamech's wife. Interesting. This is possible because Genesis 4:22 states that Naaman was the sister of Tubal-Cain, but it never says that Lamech was her father. Undoubtedly, the most remarkable evidence of the Bible for identifying Naaman, Ham's wife, and defiled of Lilith's lineage is mystical. We shall consider two sources of mystical evidence. First, we shall cover what is indicated by searching for the name Naaman using the ELS, equidistant letter sequence. Interesting. This has got a lot of elements to it, doesn't it? Because I know that there's people that use that cipher to learn about prophecy. Okay, so the ELS cipher operating on the entire text of Torah. Second, we shall consider that as is indicated by using the FLU's first letter every word sequence cipher on the entire Torah. The idea is to see if the name Naaman can be tied to significant passages describing a role. As we shall see, both code searches yield remarkable results with amazing precision. The encoded name appears in key biblical passages linking Naaman linking Naaman with the serpent, with the floodwaters and the ark, with the sons of Ham, and with the post-flood Nephilim. Okay. All right. There's a lot of material there that we've gone over. This next part is mystical evidence from the ELS code. So do we have any comments? Any thoughts on this material? A lot of different ideas on how Canaan and why Canaan was so cursed. What do you got to say, Melissa?
Yeah, I don't know how to. I wanted to say that I do have a lot of questions, but I don't want to open a big can of worms on your recording. So maybe like after you're done, if you'll let me ask some important, well, they're not that important, but I do have some questions.
Okay, well, you might as well hit me with them because this is a discussion.
Okay, are you sure? Well, how does this mesh with the Luciferian seed doctrine? Isn't this very similar? Because this is kind of saying that Lilith is Lucifer. Or am I getting the gist of this? Because I'm trying to catch up and I've missed a lot. And I'm just now listening and trying to really get this, okay?
Are you talking about the serpent seed doctrine?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I meant. I'm sorry. Serpent seed, Luciferian seed, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could
You're like, oh, open up that can of worms, did you? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'll tell you what I think of it. That's my opinion, and you'll have to study to, see. But the serpent seed, obviously, according to this book, he believes the generations of the heaven. The reference is to these fallen angels, these angels that came down on Mount Hermon, and then they went out in unto human women, produced the race of the giants. This is the generations of the heavens. So in this case, they would be the serpent seed. It also seems to suggest that when they pass, when their physical bodies are destroyed, their spirits are unredeemable. They
Ooh.
are automatically allotted to demons. They become demons.
Ooh.
So,
Does that happen to any people?
well, not of the line of Adam. The line of
I
Adam
wonder
has
what happens to some of these very wicked people.
those who are not of the Nephilim lineage, the line of Adam, normal people, you know, have an opportunity for redemption. So, but remember that all of the research and text seem to suggest that these were very grotesque creatures. You wonder where all of these teachings
Ooh.
come from, you know, ogres and what are all these? Like in the what is that series with the Hobbit series? Remember?
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. The Lord of the
Goblins
Rings.
and gremlins and this and that, and
Hmm.
you know, those are all veiled references to these Nephilim infiltration, and they were beyond redemption. They had no redemption. It was only the line of Adam that was offered redemption through the Son. So, and this is why the Almighty, this is one of the reasons why I think that the Almighty commanded that certain cities, right down to every child, were to be wiped out, because it was because they had this defilement, this Nephilim seed.
Right. Exactly. Like some people, if they want to say Yahweh wasn't good, they'll say, well, he destroyed all those people. And I'm like, well, yeah, but they were not right. Like he made us to be a certain way. And like Yeshua said, the enemy came in and he sowed tares, which are weeds, in his wheat. And so he had to clean it out because it was defiled.
Yeah.
That it implies.
There's a question here in the chat. The serpent seed is mentioned in the third column on this page. If a person is of this lineage and unredeemable, are they aware of this? Well, I think the sources that I've read say that they are bent on evil. Their spirit is bent on evil. It's a defiled spirit. It's not a. Remember, it says that Yahweh created Adam and Hava and Eve. So they have a chance. There is their spirit has a chance to do right. In other words, there's this. It's like what Paul talks about of Gentiles, where it says that when Gentiles do by nature the things contained in the Torah, they become a Torah unto themselves. Okay, so, but these were different creatures. These were creatures that were from birth bent to do evil. And notice that in the book of Enoch, these fallen angels are begging to have another chance. And Enoch says, well, you guys are slated for destruction because you caused so much damage on the earth. You know, I can't change what Yahweh has decreed. So there is that. And I really think that they were not a normal person in appearance. I think that they were, well, I mean, you could think of like modern mythology, like some of them, well, even in Native American stories, these so-called giants, they had 6 fingers and 6 toes. They were very violent. Some things where they were very sexually licentious. They were very and they did abominable things. You know, they were because that spirit within them was evil. It was a demonic spirit, and so when their physical body died, it released that spirit, and that is where we have the demons today. That is where we get the demons, these disembodied Nephilim creatures. You know, so. That's basically, I think that's the best I can do with that question there, Melissa. Any other thoughts?
Well, it's just hard to imagine that mind that's bent, or that spirit that's bent on evil. Like they don't think about anything good at all. Because I've had people saying to me, like, some of the stuff that's going on in the world, some people just have no empathy for others and stuff like that. And you're wondering, where did this come from? Is this another spirit? And I didn't really recognize it so strong as in like the past, like maybe 5 years. And so I wondered, did something shift? Did something change? Did something open? Did something, you know what I mean? It just seems like there's a new kind of wickedness that I didn't recognize before, like just all in your face.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, looking at it from a psychological standpoint, it's almost pathological the way people are without any remorse. Paul talks about people exhibiting those traits in the end of days where they have no pity, they have no love, they have no concern. They are, it talks about in one of the gospels or the epistles rather. I think that these are demonic. These are either possessed or they are oppressed. And most likely, most of the time, we see oppression, demonic oppression. And these particular spirits are, they're turned over to a reprobate mind. Vicky, you're right. Turned over to a reprobate mind. When you think about, actually one time I saw in a gay pride parade picture. I wasn't there, obviously, but I saw in a news article, there's the person showing a sign that said, "I bet hell is fabulous." Little did they know. Hell is not going to be fabulous for them at all. But these are people who have no regard at all for spiritual realities, and they, they're just that way. And it causes us to grieve because, mankind is going to make a choice. They're going to go. Those who do not obey the master and turn to him are going to be lost. And it's not anything that the Father is doing. The Father is, people are already lost. From birth, we're in a fallen race. But you have an opportunity to come out of that death sentence. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. They say, well, why is Elohim so mean? Why is he send so many of us to hell? Well, really, in reality, everybody's headed to hell. It's only those who believe in Yeshua and strive to do his will that are delivered out of the kingdom of darkness and transferred into the kingdom of light of his dear son, Yeshua Messiah. And so that's what we have to remember as well. All right, so let me read a little more in here, and then we'll finish up in a little bit. We're getting down to the last few minutes here. So we're talking about this ELS cipher. So the ELS cipher provides incredible evidence on the role of Naaman the flood. The well-known ELS code has been popularized and abused in many recent works. Notice he says it abused because a lot of prophecies have been sort of extrapolated out of some of these things, and it turns out they were not true. The ELS cipher works by taking a target Hebrew text and removing all spaces and punctuation between words, thereby forming a continuous stream of letters without spaces or other punctuation. This letter stream is then checked at various letter skip intervals to see if a sought word is spelled. When the ELS cipher is performed on the entire text of the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, 28 times the name Na'amah is found spelled forwards or backwards, using a 3, 4, or 5 letter skip count. Wow. The idea behind using short letter sequences is to see if her encoded name can be linked to short phrases in the Bible that give insight into her nature. Given the typical biblical word length of about 4 letters, a 3 to 5 letter skip count is about optimal for this purpose. For the portion of the Torah that covers through the last mention of Ham in Genesis 10:20, there are only 5 instances of Na'amah encoded. They come in Genesis 3:2, 6:4, 8:9, 9:25, and 10:19 through 20. Yeah, the Bible code. That's similar to the Bible code, Vicki. The first encoded Na'amah comes in Genesis 3:2 in that famous passage. Eve refutes the spirit Lilith, saying that she could eat from the fruit of any tree in the garden except the tree of knowledge, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, rather. As seen in table 7.2, the name Na'amah is spelled backwards at 4-letter skip counts, using the words for the garden tree from fruit and the serpent. The Hebrew letters used in spelling her name are underlined in the table. Recall that when the letters mem and nun occur at the end of a word, they take the N forms, and as well as English words in which encoded letters are found. Not only does the encoded name associate Na'amah with the serpent, the words used to spell her name form a phrase describing her. Ordering the words according to her name spelling, they reveal that Na'amah is the garden of the tree from the fruit of the spirit. A tree is to the garden in which it grows as a seed is to the womb. Interesting. Thus, to say Na'amah is the garden of the tree is to symbolically say she is the mother of a seed. As the encoded phrase boldly concludes, Na'amah is the garden of the tree from the fruit of the serpent. The fruit of the serpent refers to the seed of the serpent, which begins in Azazel. Now, that's directly in the book of Enoch. Thus, the phrase that Na'amah is the garden of the tree from the fruit of the serpent relates that Na'amah is the mother, that being the garden, continuing the line, the tree arising from the serpent's seed, the fruit of the serpent. This is amazing information, but there is much more to be found. Okay, so take a look at this. This is first encoded, Na'amah, Genesis 3:2. And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the tree of the garden. Okay. And so we have Ta'amer, the Isha, El, Hanachash, Mapri, from the fruit, Eitz of tree, Hagan of the garden, Na'ochel, we may eat. Okay, so that's the scripture in Hebrew that they're looking at. Now they're going to show us the. So if you were to take, I guess what they do is they count 4 of these and they put them together. The second ELS code encoded Na'amah comes in Genesis 6:4. That passage discusses how the pre-flood Nephilim became the post-flood Giborim, as seen in table 7.3. Na'amah is encoded backwards in a 5-letter skip, using the letters in the words men from old and Giborim. Interesting. Her name thus links the pre-flood Nephilim, the men from old who were of the name, to the post-flood Giborim. Wow. Once again, the words used in her name form a phrase describing her. Na'amah is the reason why, quote, the men from old were Giborim. Giborim is a veiled reference to Nephilim, right? Giborim, the mighty men of old. That's what it's referencing in the book of Genesis. Yeah, that's an interesting point there, Vicki, because trees are people. Remember, that's was something that there was even a veiled reference to that in the Gospels, wasn't there? Where he says, there's the blind man said, I see trees walking around, and then Yeshua had to touch him again and became totally healed in his sight. Okay. Na'amah is the reason why the men from old were the Giborim. Note that the name Na'amah concludes with the first and last letter of Giborim. Thus, she can be linked to the first and last of the Giborim. That is, she is the source of them all. Again, this is amazing stuff, but we are still not done. Yeah, interesting thought there, Vicki. Okay, so second encoded Na'amah, Genesis 6:4. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. Okay. Vayeldo, and they had birth, Lahem to them, let's see, Hama, they were, Hagiborim, and that's the Giborim, the mighty men, Asher, which, Ma'olam, from old, this would be like from the entire world, from the old world. Let's see, Anash were men, This would be like Anashim, this doesn't say Isha, it says Anash, were men. Okay, Hashem of the name. Okay, so the third ELS encoded Na'amah comes in Genesis 8:9. Actually, this might be a good place to let's continue this ELS thing next time. This might be a good place to take a break till our next time. If I can get this thing to work. There we go. All right, I guess I'll just leave that like that. So basically ELS is equidistant lettering, and it's basically where you look at the Hebrew text and it's the belief that there are codes within the Hebrew text. And what do they do to get this code? Well, they either go like every fourth letter, every fifth letter, equidistant lettering, and then there are specific codes. Now, if you read that Dresden book, there are some amazing things in the Torah. And what it seems to imply is that the scriptures, the text in particular, is of divine. It's got to be divine, because what else can have these codes in there, and then a narrative. It's on the surface, it's a narrative, but underneath are the codes, which seem to give us more insight into the narrative. That's pretty amazing stuff, I think. It's pretty exciting stuff too, in my opinion. Of course, I tend to get excited by stuff that a lot of people don't get excited by, but anything that has to do with Yah's word, I get excited by, because he is a mighty El, isn't he? He's a mighty El, and they're the mysteries that he has are unfathomable. You can spend your whole life studying the word of Elohim, and I guarantee you have only scratched the surface. You've only scratched the surface. Let's see here. Wasn't it done in the grapes of wrath? I'm not sure about that, Vicky. Maybe it was. Maybe it was. All right. Any last comments, guys? This is it for our reading part. We're just about at the end of our hour. Yeah, wouldn't the scribes have been like mathematicians? Isn't that something? The Bible says the scriptures were written as men were carried along by the Ruach HaKodesh. They're carried along by the Holy Ghost.
Yeah, so what does that tell us about people that are trying to the Bible now that don't have the Ruach HaKodesh? Should they be doing that?
Well, the scriptures are spiritually discerned. So if you don't have the Ruach HaKodesh, you don't have the Holy Ghost, then you're going to have a hard time understanding what's being communicated. There's people in the world that know that the plain text very well, but they don't have the interpretation. They don't have the keys to unlock the interpretation. See, now I don't know if you've ever run into someone like in university. I ran into someone that was not a believer, but they sure didn't know the text really well. But you can always tell when they make points about it, they are you can tell that they are not spiritually. They don't have the spiritual connection. They're not of Elohim. They're just looking at it from an academic standpoint. Okay. This is why I readily resist the idea that the scriptures are corrupted. I believe I have to trust that Almighty preserved the main essence of the scriptures. This is my thought. Yeah.
Yeah, anything that is in there because he wanted it. Oh, I'm sorry. I see she's holding her hand. I need to figure out how to. Don't know what happened, but
Yeah. All right, Vicky, go ahead, sister.
I was looking at the mechanical translation of Genesis for the Genesis 3:6 about the trees.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, and the woman saw that the function of the tree is for nourishment, and that he is yearning to the eyes. And the tree was a craving to make calculations. And she took from his produce and she ate, and she also to her man with her, and he ate
Mhm.
or gave also. Yeah. The calculations and like the trees are people, and Steve's comment there that about, they would have had to have been mathematicians, and that
Mhm.
it had sort of just the idea. I can see that idea of Lilith being a tree
Mhm.
in that. That's
Yeah,
all I want. I just wanted to share.
good comment there. Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, we're gonna keep slogging at it here. Notice this down here. It says, I don't know if you can see this part, but it says 85% done, page 196 of 212. So we're getting right down to the end of this book. So I figure one more reading session and we'll be done. And then I'm going to try to find something else that we can do. I'll probably update the calendar, but I'll leave the calendar the way it is for now. But for next Friday, we'll try to finish this up. If I can get motivated, I would like to start doing some more Hebrew, but I've been having a hard time with motivation lately. Yeah, Steve, the part 2 book is the one that goes into the code, goes into a lot of the codes of the Bitter Water trial. And you know what? I've learned a lot so far from this book. I've learned a lot. I hope you guys have too. I found it very fascinating. And yeah, I need some of Sis Melissa's tea. I probably could use that. Yeah, I probably could. All
I
right,
got some
guys.
popcorn too.
What kind of tea have you got there, Melissa?
It's miracle tea.
It is. What?
Diet tea. I could show you a picture.
Okay.
I kind of am laying off of it for a little bit, but I had some yesterday. I'm not doing it as much as I was. Let me show you. Let me see if this will work. Is it showing? Oh wait, I got it
There it is.
No.
Yeah, okay. So what is that? They loose flakes that you just put in a tea ball?
No, it's more like almost like, well, maybe somebody else could explain it.
Is it a pack?
You know, it's kind of booklet stuff.
Okay, is it like a tea bag? Is that what it is? Oh, it's a tea bag.
It's kind of like it. It
Oh.
is, but you open up the tea bag and it's got like ground up tea in.
Look, it's for pain and inflammation, and I've never used anything that's as good.
Okay. Can you send
It's
me the name of that and whatever? Can send that to my email so that I have it on file. Let me get rid of
I
this.
can send you some to your place if you want, but you know,
Yeah,
or
green.
you can get it yourself. But I send it out.
Oh, I can
If you wanna
probably
try
find it on Amazon, I would think. Okay, there's my email right there.
Tappy Tea, TAPPEE. Tappy Tea.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. I really do.
It is some good stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Praise Yah. All right, guys. Be blessed. Tomorrow we've got Shabbat service, 11 a.m. I think I'm due to be hosting, but Brother Jackson is going to be continuing his series. I found his first sermon to be very interesting, very provocative. So I'm looking forward to this next one. So hopefully we'll see y'all 11 o'clock tomorrow this would be on his Zoom channel, which would be the Yahad. Right. Okay.
Yeah, he always has thought-provoking stuff. Always. I love his messages. And when are you going to give a message again? Because I love your messages on the Shabbat services. You get so excited, and I just jump up and down, and I just love it. They are such a blessing to me, and you just don't speak enough, in my opinion.
Well, I'm not sure when I'm scheduled. Let me look at the schedule again. I've got a schedule here on the website. I know I've got the speaker schedule here. There's the speakers list there. Okay, let's take a look at this. And I'm probably good that you mentioned this because I haven't even looked at it myself. Okay, so we've got let's see, it's going to be tomorrow's going to be the 12th, right? So looks to me like the speaker is Brother Snyder. I'm the leader, which is the host. And it looks like I'm scheduled for September 30th for speaker and October 7th. Got me back.
Good.
I guess I'll have to come up with a teaching that is a 2-part series or something.
Well, they're always good. I always get so blessed when you give your message. You always find such beautiful nuggets. You just go from scripture to scripture and you just tie everything together, and it's always a blessing.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah, we like the meat of the word, not the milk all the time.
Yeah.
You and Jackson always have the milk, but so did that Safran guy, and I liked his teaching too.
Oh yeah, I liked his teachings.
Yeah, and we can get him to come back. He's kind of stuck on the idea of everybody has to be called Congregation of Elohim.
Oh yeah.
Oh
well.
yeah.
So
That's too bad, because I really like his messages too.
yeah, he does. He's very organized. He's a very organized teacher, and he gets excited too.
He gets so excited, and it always makes me chuckle, and I love his messages also very much.
Yeah.
They're very edifying, very much so.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, you have
Thank you again.
Get plenty of rest for tomorrow. Tomorrow's the day that God has made. It's our Sabbath. So, yeah, bless everyone.
God bless. Bye bye.